car has history. So I've got to say I'm pretty excited about this. We're at Queensland Raceway and we have some unbelievable, majestic old Formula One cars. This is a 1958 Cooper Climax that was campaigned by Jack Brabham back in the late 50s.
Does a lap in 1 minute 40.4 seconds. The first ever lap at over 70 miles an hour.
This car, not this particular car, but a car of similar breed, actually won the 1959 and the 1960 World Championship.
Winning in the Cooper Climax.
All right, a little bit about this car is it's powered by a 2.2 litre Coventry Climax, which was formula back in the day, back in the late 1950s for Formula One. A very basic technology, but this car actually revolutionised Formula One. It went from front engine of the old Maseratis, and when Cooper came along and Jack Brabham got together, they basically put the engine in the back, and that revolutionised Formula One. So this was one of the very early protagonists in that era and went on to win the World Championship in 1959 and 1960. So pretty impressive vehicle. There wasn't any seatbelts back in the day. There is a seatbelt in it now, not that it's much use. There's no roll cage. You got fuel tanks, probably 80 litres of fuel, 40 litres on each side, sitting beside your legs and your torso and under your seat. It's basically a bomb. So yeah, how people drove these back in the day against each other around places like Spa, average speeds of 100 miles an hour is just hard to contemplate. To actually have the car finally on the track, and to be honest, this has been a 4-year process with the owner Michael, who owns these cars. He's restored them, we've built them from the ground up, and really looking forward to, I guess, bringing these majestic cars back to life. This car hasn't turned a wheel for 15 years, so I'm just hugely excited to get to actually drive it. It won't be driven like they did in the day, but we'd love to drive this car, and I just can't wait to get in it. Well, I've just come back. I've had the Cooper Climax on the track. What an awesome experience. It's very different. I mean, you're sitting up out of the car, realistically the seatbelt's a bit of an afterthought because back in the day they didn't run seatbelts, so you literally just sit on top of the car. It has ample power, like in the wet conditions we were out there then, it was probably too much power. But at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun. You could control the car on the throttle and it was like a big Formula Ford, like it was a massive amount of fun. We haven't really even bedded the brakes, we haven't really scrubbed the tyres, so hopefully we get some dry running. I'd love to give it another go, but as a sensation to drive, it's just, you think of the day, back in the day, you're surrounded by 80 litres of fuel, you're sitting there in a cocoon and you're racing wheel to wheel these guys around, places like Spa and wherever else they used to run in those days. And this car did a lot of work in Australia as well, doing the Tasman series, and I know the tracks they raced on. I've done the inter-country challenge back in the day when we were in Formula Holdens, and New Zealand tracks are fast, they're challenging, and to go to Wigram and places which are airfield and hay bales on the side, hangar doors to roll through and things like that, and these guys are racing wheel to wheel, back in the Jim Clark and Graham Hill days. I take my hat off to them, like it really is a great sensation, and I feel very privileged to actually get to run these sort of cars. It's an awesome experience, and Michael and Jason, the boys from Jones Motorsport, have restored this thing and got it to a point where we can actually run it, and it's not here to set lap records, but it's just here to go around the track and to relive that nostalgia of back in the period, and just thoroughly enjoyed it. This car has history. This is Kevin Bartlett's first 100-mile-an-hour lap round Bathurst. So this was the first car to ever go around Bathurst at over 100 miles an hour average. So sitting behind me is the Brabham BT11a. This car was effectively a Formula One car, detuned or actually up-tuned. It had a bigger engine than what they were allowed in the Formula in the day, so a 2.2 Coventry engine, Climax engine. Alec Mildren brought this car in, I think along with 2 others, and this car was campaigned by Frank Gardner originally and then later by Kevin Bartlett here in Australia. The sister car went on to win the Gold Star back in the 1965-66, I think, from memory, and it has a fairly classic history, being the first car to ever break the 100-mile-an-hour average lap record around Bathurst, driven by Kevin Bartlett back in 1964. So Hugely credentialed car, very popular car back in the day. The Brabhams were obviously at the leading pointy edge of the field in Formula One at the time, and to have the car here in Australia and to be restored and very graciously by Michael, the owner, to actually go and test his car and do some laps is an absolute privilege, so can't wait for the experience. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, coming back, having driven the Brabham, that was an experience. That thing's got some mumbo. Like this, when it gets going, it's probably a 450 kilo car, and it's probably, I don't know what horsepower it'd have, maybe 250. It gets going, and the track's still damp. So in a straight line, it's hang on for both hands. And to be honest, you don't hang on to these cars. You're driving by the fingertips. There's such a straight-armed driving, laid-back position of the early '60s. The classic Formula One look. And it's hard work. You struggle to actually maintain control, and when the car's slipping and sliding and it's got a lot of horsepower down low, it's very easy to get away from you. So a lot of fun. More of a scary experience than what the Cooper was. The Cooper's more forgiving, but by the same token, this thing's got massive potential. You know, put on a dry track, and obviously, you know, Kevin Bartlett's setting a 100-mile-an-hour average lap around Bathurst in this thing. Brave. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to do that these days. I'm getting a bit old, but you know, Kevin he was probably crazy back then as he is now, but yeah, to do that in this car, wow, the risks, and Bathurst wasn't like it was back then. You know, in '64 there was no fences. You went over skyline, disappeared over the edge if you just made a mistake. So, and the speed down Conrod, no chase, so you would have been flat down Conrod the whole way. So I don't know what the top speeds would have been, but to average 100 mile an hour, they were really honking. And once again, you're laid down inside a fuel tank, so you know, God forbid everything ever goes wrong. But wow, what an experience! You know, like I love both these cars. I love classic cars. I think as you get older, you develop appreciation for it, and I'm really starting to appreciate the old stuff, and also the drivers of the day. You know, the risks they took, and which wasn't risks back in that day, because that was what you had. This was state of the art in the mid '60s. So and the Cooper was state of the art in the '50s. So drivers didn't know any different. They knew it was dangerous, but they didn't know any different. Whereas today we'd get in and go, oh, this is crazy. We haven't got Hounds devices, we haven't got roll bars, we haven't got all that sort of stuff. So yeah, utmost admiration for those guys, and once again, I'm just glad to have this opportunity, and hopefully we can do some more laps.